Hey, I'm Reggie Ponder, the Real Critic, and this is the Real Critic Roundtable. Now, usually I like to introduce the show uh, and just be in front of the camera, but I was having some technical difficulties. So my critic for a minute today is I asked one of my film critics, one of my guys, to just, could you just introduce the show for me? This guy, if you don't know, has been on TV for over 20. I mean, this year actually is celebrating 20 years on TV, and I don't
It's
have it
my
on tape, but I just want to tell you guys, if you're watching, he said to me, "Nah, dude, I can't do that because I'm nervous."
I'm
He
nervous.
he
It's your
dude's a he,
show.
he on the big time and he couldn't help
No.
a brother out. So anyway, this is where black critics come to discuss, debate, and have a little fun. And we have a lot to discuss today and have a little fun. I want to say we got Sean Edwards over there,
Hey,
and we
what's up,
got
man?
we got Katia Woods,
Hey,
and we got Mercedes Springer in the house. So we got a lot to talk about, but before we do that, just want to have my fellow critics introduce themselves. So we'll start off with Mercedes.
well, hi everyone. I'm not my first go round here, but I'll give you a little introduction. I'm Mercedes. I'm out of Atlanta, repping the AUC, graduate of Clark Atlanta University, and I'm a television producer and certified reviewer.
Dag, there she go. Katia, bring it on in.
Hey, I'm Kathy Woods. I have my own site called Couple Soul Show, but I've also written for other folks. I am out of the 215 Philadelphia. And hey, all day, TU graduate, Temple grad. Please don't say Bill Cosby. We've got other prominent graduates from that very nice university. And I'm happy to be here today.
So I went on mute because again I got all this noise back here. But Sean, bring up the rear, man.
Oh, sure. Sean Edwards, Fox 4 News film critic, co-founder, African American Film Critics Association. Uh, I'm I'm sad. America loves dogs and walls more than humans.
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa. Go
Basically.
ahead, go ahead, Katya. This is good. We can get into this for a minute.
Mm.
I mean, basically, they basically said that she was a happenstance. And if they basically said it's her boyfriend's fault that she's dead. Had he not had the audacity to defend himself and her, then she would be alive. But who cares? But the people who live next door to her, which I believe are allegedly white, that drywall that separated them matters more. And it's a serious problem when the attorney general stood in front of God and all that as well. And as a mother, my heart breaks with Breonna Taylor's mom. And he had the audacity to look in the camera and said the law did not match the trauma. And I applaud the governor of Kentucky because he's saying, show and prove, show us all the evidence that that was your only option. And there's a reason why he's not going to. You know, it's a sad state of affair. All our skin folk ain't kinfolk, basically.
Let me just say this as well too, because first of all, thank you, Sean, for even switching gears a little bit to talk about something that is extremely important. And I think the heaviness that I feel, which I think a lot of other Black women feel, and Black men in our community and support, I don't have the words. I don't have the words. I don't have the emotions. I don't even have the right mind frame to wrap my head around everything. So I think it is a time for Black men to step up and speak up for us, like we've been advocating for them for so long. So
The thing that gets me is that we've been watching a lot of movies and they show how black men in general haven't been able to protect our women, and then in this instance when dude is trying to actually protect his woman, he is the reason that they give that she is dead. That even in doing our job, we fail miserably in terms of doing our job. I really glad, Sean. I agree with Mercedes that you brought that up. I saw that on social media. You had "I'm done," and I'm like, what is Sean talking about? And this is
No, I knew exactly what he meant. I knew
Yeah, you
exactly
just
what he
can't.
meant.
It just. I mean, we are all black film critics, but there's just no way I can sit up here on this Zoom and talk about movies and ignore the fact of what's going on in the real world. I mean, it's just it's disturbing, it's shocking. We're all journalists, so we followed thousands of stories, and like when more people get outraged over a pro football player allegedly killing 6 to 8 dogs, I mean, they were calling for a life sentence and death penalty for that, and then just no remorse for what happened in this case. It's just, I mean, there's no other word other than it's crazy. And you know, these police say they were looking for this guy in his house. They did the no knock. I just don't understand how so many bullets were fired and the guy they were looking for wasn't even hit once. I mean, I need the video. Like, like what's going on?
John is right. There's so many things. I mean,
doesn't
you
make
know what?
sense.
It's so horrible because I really did tweet out because I'm like, it's been 6 months. And I said, you know what? And I never in my life wanted to be more wrong. And I did say that. I said it on both of my social medias. I said, I need everyone to prepare yourselves. I said, they're basically coming up with the scenario and the argument and the PR campaign to justify not charging them, you know? And it's a sad thing that I know, and most of us know, that there wasn't going to be justice. And so as much as I wasn't shocked that this was the result, that doesn't mean that I'm not disappointed. And it's also like, you know, Malcolm X said it best, the most disrespected person in America is a Black woman. And again, to have somebody that looks like us be so calm and so unmoving and so emotionally void, to just calmly read that and then tell people that, you know, and then to compound the pain by saying that the people that don't live here don't know us, don't know our pain. You know what I mean? They're not from our community. You know what I mean? To get political, do you know what I mean? And to be like, we need to come together. Sir, read the room. Walk out. Obviously, you are not understanding what your community is feeling. And I just want to say to the Black people, in 2024, this dude is up for re-election. Hold on to this. Hold on to how you felt and fire his ass. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
I think when you said that he's not in touch with how the community feel, I don't think that even comes into play here for him.
No, that doesn't.
Yeah. I don't even think that's an issue. You said it earlier about the kinfolk thing, and I mean he's not even in that space. So I don't see.
Well, it's deeper. It's deeper than that. It's not even. I mean, you know, this comes down to more than just being, you know, whether or not he's Black or not. He's just not human.
Was this a personal game for him? Like, what was, you know, what are his? Do we know his goals?
He's not a human.
He's not human because, like Sean said, at that particular moment, like the point is, he looked at this woman's face and he told her that justice would be served. Like, again, I have my faults, like all, you know, we're all work in progress. But on stuff like this, no. I will never look anybody in the eye when they've been hurt, lost a child.
Well, one thing is,
the list goes on and on.
One thing is for certain, he instantly became the most hated Black person on the planet. He's up there with Christopher Darden. He's up there with Clarence Thomas. He's up there with Steve Harvey. He's up there with Herschel Walker.
He's up there with Samuel Jackson and Django. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
He is Django. He is that dude.
He's Steven.
He really is.
Wow.
And he really is. And you know what? I said this morning, the Sigmas need to revoke his membership. Is that who you want representing your organization and your fraternity? Like, he doesn't stand for any of those values. And since he made a choice to be on that other team, right? Sir, go do that.
You know it's sad when George Clooney has to step in and defend the state.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
Is that where we're at right now? It's just sad. It's just sad all around. I mean,
and we have to be kind to our,
I have two daughters. One mother, several, you know, Black female colleagues. I mean, this is it's just it's a tragedy all around because the disrespect has continued for 400 years. I mean,
Yeah, this is a beyond disrespectful, and when you say that, Sean, the whole issue of I have two daughters as well, and so having to think that that could happen to my daughters, my oldest is 25, so right there in that same age range and pocket. I have six sisters,
it's bad. It's bad.
so it's
I mean, they're not busting in on the people who are actually bringing the drugs in. They're not busting into these mansions. They didn't even bust into El Chapo's house. Like, what are we
Now, El
talking
Chapo
about?
got, you know, and the other thing too is
What are we talking? What are we
Yeah.
doing?
nah. This is
It's
sad.
it's very sad. And, you know, I mean, we cover entertainment, and not to say that doesn't affect us, but I think about our colleagues who cover the news, who talk to these families, who cover the community, and then you got to stand in front of a camera and a microphone, and you got to try to put some reason behind it, or you're saying it. It's a lot, you know?
And
I was like,
because
leave Black people alone. Don't ask us for anything.
yeah.
Not right now. That's why I said I can't post anything on social.
And so I really appreciate that comment. But not only are you messing me up today, man, you wouldn't host for me in the beginning. You start off with the serious stuff.
You
so
can't,
now
you can't ignore it.
Now you mess up, but you mess up my flow. I'm gonna have to talk about a movie that you didn't see because at least is in the same. I wasn't even going to talk about that first, but at least is in the same vein.
Yeah, we have to start with that movie first.
Of what we're talking about, and that movie is Black Boys. This film is. Oh, I must have some feedback here again. Kati, can you introduce this for me? I'm sorry, I have some feedback.
That's okay. It's basically a film about all the things we're talking about.
Yeah.
When the little boys go black, especially little Black boys, go from being cute, you know, cheeky cheek, innocent, to now being looked at as a threat, as villain. Like, when does that transition happen? And how do you, as a parent, prepare your child that, yes, you are a child, but society at this point right now doesn't look at you as a child anymore. They look at you as a threat. How do you reconcile those two? How do you still allow your son to have joy? You know what I mean? It's a lot, but I'm really glad because it did highlight, you know, Black fathers. There is this thing that Black fathers don't exist. They don't care about their kids, especially their boys. And that's something else perpetuated to justify the foolery. You know what I mean?
It is. I think that there were a couple of things that they talked about here in this film, and I really did have PTSD watching it because it was hard to see these young men and the stuff that they were talking about, and I'm just like, yeah, I recognize that. Yeah, I recognize that. Yeah, I recognize that. But what I think the genius of this film for me is that they did get into the humanity of these boys to let them talk about their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations, what made them laugh, what made them cry. And I felt a kinship to knowing these young guys. I think they did a really good job in that regard.
Let me just say too, to piggyback on that a little bit, I thought to see so many Black men, Black boys on screen smiling, like so many smiles and to talk about what they've been through, but to still have a laugh or a joke in between with their boys sitting on a rock. You know what I mean? So it shows the resilience that we all go through as Black folk. And honestly, in the beginning of this film kind of struck a little nerve of them talking about Black bodies and the violence that's always being distributed and handed down to Black bodies, and our bodies being used for exploitation and sports and entertainment, and just the disregard for our Black body, because we're looked at as product, and they still look at us as product. We weren't here.
It's so true. I mean, when you think about it, right? If you talk to our boys, what's their introduction to the police? Hands up, assume the position. right? And if you speak to that counterpart, oh, it's Officer so-and-so came to my school. Well, I met Officer so-and-so. It wasn't in a confrontational manner. And it also shows you the resilience of us as Black people under the worst of the worst. And these are the last of the living days. That's really what I feel like. We do always find a way to still persevere, you know what I mean? And still say, you know what, in spite of everything, we're not going to let them take our humanity. We're not going to let them define us, you know what I mean? And I think that's really important because as hard as it is, and it's hard, like I'm not going to sit up here and sugarcoat it, you still have to hold on to some sense of sanity. You cannot let them decide who we are, especially Black men.
I have a
The
question.
problem, yeah, but the
Sorry.
problem, well, maybe I shouldn't say the problem I have with a movie like this, but the sad thing about a movie like this is the only people who are going to watch it already agree with the narrative, you know?
No,
So
you're correct.
how do you get people who disagree with the narrative or don't understand the narrative to watch something as impactful as this? I mean,
So
what's the challenge?
one way to do that, Sean, and I think the producers did talk about this, is through school systems, is having school systems purchase this or work with school systems to make sure that they watch it. And I know, having taught in the Chicago public school system, that we have done those types of things. I'm not saying that it's been successful throughout, because there's always people like teachers and administrators who don't want to show it. But
So they would show something like this in a majority white school district?
I'm not
I
sure.
think in that 1619 project, I mean, I think it depends. Like I will say this, in my school district is a predominantly white school district, but my daughter had an English teacher that brought in Black materials that was with the ish, so to say, and she challenged those white students to be uncomfortable. You know, I mean, I think, you know, is everybody going to be that type of teacher? No, but if you can get 1 out of 10 to do it and to say, you know what, this is something you need to see because you're all being informed this way.
Right.
This is something to counter that. So you
I
can
hope
use
so.
your critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, you know, and I think your point is really a good point. That
Yeah,
you know, that the people the majority of people who are going to see it are people who
like us.
like, yeah. And when I'm watching it, that's why I said I had PSTD, because I understood that situation and I was going through it. So I think you're absolutely right. I just think that there is a sliver of light, maybe, that maybe some people outside of that might see it if they're working with the school systems to try to do
Okay.
that. And I know they are.
Who do we think the film was made for, actually? Was it made for us, or did you think they made it so that it can reach those other audiences?
No, it's made so it can reach other audiences, and
Yeah,
it's also made for us.
right.
It's just the
So
challenge is to get them to
really
watch
made
it.
to reach
Yeah.
other audiences.
Yeah.
And she said something really profound. She said, you know, in the school district, the majority of teachers, even in the inner city, are white women.
Yes.
So
Young.
white women. And it's true.
Young,
Like, you know,
young.
you gotta really,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta, next time you walk through a school, you gotta, first of all, it's hard to find men, and it's even harder to find Black men
Black men, that's right.
in that grade school,
Oh no,
junior
that's
high.
100%.
So she made this. I mean, as far from her vantage point, right? Not to speak for other people, she was very clear. This wasn't made for us. This was made for them because she saw a problem, and she was like, "Okay, this is a way that I'm choosing to address it."
Yeah,
audience.
She was definitely hoping that white women would see this, because she was wondering. She has this whole section in the film, as you know, about when did white women start? How do you feel when white women are scared of you? Mm-hmm. And I did read an article some years ago about white women being basically the gatekeepers to in the school to prison pipeline, because they are the ones at school. They are the ones that are afraid of these Black young men. They're the ones that are sending and calling the police and the correction officers on them. So I think this is definitely something to check out. I hope people will check it out. And I think, Mercedes, you want to get in, so I'll give you the last word.
No, I agree with you. It is something that we all need to check out. And I just want to make sure that it's not just our audience that sees it. It needs to be a plethora of audiences that see us in this light.
Cool. Well, that's it for that one. Our next film is actually, we're gonna stay on a serious note until we get to the.
Yeah. Let's do it.
We're gonna go. Man. We're gonna go with Cuties. So, Katya.
Oh, America. How predictable are they?
This isn't American, though.
No, but America is the one that's acting the fool. So
yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? It's the filmmaker is a French Senegalese Muslim woman, and she made a movie. Basically, is based upon her experience when she moved to France. She grew up in a conservative African household, and when she moved to France, she saw some things that shook her up, and she's basically putting a mirror on how society, how when children are, the parents get involved and other stuff goes on, how children are raised by television, social media, outward influences, and how that influences how they dress, how they express themselves, or what they deem is the way to adulthood, to acceptance, and to coolness. And somewhere along the line, the Christian left that never saw the movie other than a poster and a trailer, and some of our folks too, because I literally had somebody that is a rapper and has rapped misogynistic lyrics talking about we need to cancel Netflix. Flip out about this. But it is a good film, and the idea behind it is if we stop and not be reactionary, is to have that uncomfortable conversation. But we can't do that because
I'm gonna 100% disagree and agree with you. It's a great film. It's a much.
Oh Lord.
It's big. No, right now in my house where I am broadcasting upstairs, doing homeschool. I have a 10-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old daughter, and we watch this film together. This is their life. This is what they go through. Yeah, I can see how people could be uncomfortable, but that's what cinema is supposed to do. You're supposed to expose topics and subject matters that sometimes push your button, sometimes make you uncomfortable. And the biggest problem I have with the criticism of the film is how people were saying this movie encourages pedophilia. Well, if pedophilia is on your mind, you have a sickness and a problem, because there was nothing in this film, nothing in this story about pedophilia. So if your mind automatically goes to seeing a story about 10, 11, and 12-year-old girls, and your mind automatically goes to this encourages pedophilia, you're the pedophile and you have a problem. There was nothing
Sean,
in this film about
and
that.
also you
Sean,
don't need a film to be a pedophile.
Exactly.
I agree with that, but
Exactly.
I don't know if I'm gonna be at this is a great film, Sean.
Okay, that's fine.
I saw it and I think it's probably an important film. I'm not gonna put it at the great part, and I believe because I don't think that the characters, the story was well developed for me. That I understand what the message was, but they didn't do enough in this piece to make me invested in any of those characters, while they do these little bits and pieces of this is what's happening with our family, this is what's happening outside. What it did for me though is it did make a strong commentary on how culture, the outside culture, actually envelops the inside culture, that household culture, and I think it's important in that way. But as a great film, this wouldn't be one of those that I would say, oh man, you need to check this out. I do like the fact that you said that you watched it with your daughters, because I think that a father watching with their daughters watching this film is probably a real important thing. So I do want to give kudos to you.
Well, they were gonna go out and seek it anyway, so I'd rather do it in a supervised situation.
Yeah, and this is
where
definitely
you can have a dialogue.
And watching it with your parents, a lot of conversation pieces are coming up here.
Yes.
Bullying, wanting to be accepted, the peer pressures. So all those conversations need to happen. I don't know if they need to happen just, you need to watch this film and then they need to happen. We should be having those conversations.
Right?
And I feel like what they were trying to do was exploit the exploitation, because young girls, this is what they're doing. 11, 10, this is what they're taking pictures with the kissy faces, they twerking, this is what they're doing. So all they did was put it on the big screen and give you a bird's eye view into your daughter's bedroom when her friends come over. So if we're getting real here, the issue is the society that we're living in, not necessarily Cuties the movie.
The issue is the society. The issue is the society.
And can we also just say the Kardashians are exactly that. You have a young Kylie that it was put up there as a young girl under the age of 18, dating a grown-ass man. They can say friends or whatever. You can sell that to somebody else, but we know better. Making her plastic surgery, her posting pictures of herself, bikinis, all of that. And the mother pushed that. That is the narrative that mother has for these girls. You know, you fix yourself up, you become
There's
this,
lots,
all of this. And people in America put this girl on the cover of Forbes magazine and said self-made billionaire. Now a black woman goes and makes a film and says, this is a problem in society. And the other thing too is, I thought that we're missing in this conversation is how she saw her mother. Part of this was fueled because she was like, something is happening to you and you are unhappy and you're not standing up for yourself. That's a hard thing for a daughter to see. I've seen that with my own mother in her relationship. And I'm being able to be like, why do you take this? Why do you tolerate this? Why are you? It's a hard conversation to have because one, that's your parent, but at the same time, there's a little part of you that loses respect, that loses perspective because you're allowing something to happen to you and you're not happy with it and you're just accepting it. So that's the other part.
I love that. I love that, Katya. I will say when I said that it didn't, that the reason, just from a film perspective, they had all these little scenes, like the scene where they were in the bedroom eating the candy or whatever, and the water falls out or whatever, and there's no discussion between the mom and the kid. I mean, what happened here? It was just so much. So the reason I'm saying this is when I connect this to, yes, my mom is having issues. Is she having issues to the extent that every time that something happens in my life and it actually happens in the household, that nothing, they didn't show any interaction, no conversation, no nothing between the mom and the daughter, which made it empty for me in many ways.
But that's real life sometimes.
That is real life though.
Age don't tell that if you don't get the answers that you're looking for and mom or dad isn't speaking to you and you go outside the house to then find answers, because what really stuck out to me too in this film was the scene where the young girl's putting a condom to her mouth. She doesn't even know what that is. And
she doesn't even know that it's you. It's gross.
To follow that, they're talking about HIV and they don't have any type of facts about HIV. So they don't know anything about what they're doing. They're just doing it and repeating what they see. And so clearly no conversations are really being had here.
No, and I think to answer your question, Reggie, not to beat a dead horse, is that was her frustration, that her mother wasn't talking to her. Like, she's like, another woman's moving in the house. She got a better bedroom than you.
Yes.
You're not seeing this. We're not going to address this. You're not even going to sit down with us as the mom and tell us what the hell is going on.
But here's my problem. There's no way that if that was happening, even in my household, if I messed up that house, somebody's butt was getting beat. It was just not going to let that go. Come on, y'all. Y'all know this. Y'all know this. Don't play like that. Don't play like that.
I'm just glad.
The mom was part of the problem.
Because
when she first started seeing the changes in the daughter, she was still comatose with what was going on with her. Instead of her stepping out of it and being like, yo, I need to get control of this because clearly what's happening with me is affecting her in a bad way. But the mama was too busy crying and doing all this other stuff. That's why the girl was wilding out. I mean,
I'm just glad. I'm glad we are arguing about this point of the movie and not the sexuality.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
I'm sick and tired of Americans just celebrating violence and just being agitated and annoyed at sexuality. I
Makes
don't
no
get it.
sense.
I've never gotten it. It's stupidity on a high level. We're always up in arms about like dealing with issues like this. But you can watch a movie where 1,000 people get gunned down, and we're like, oh, it's cool.
It's cool.
Yeah,
It's
now,
awesome.
well, that's it on that one. Cuties wasn't that cute to me,
I
but
like the fact that it caused people to talk, though.
but it definitely has
people to
caused some
talk.
people to
And
talk.
kudos to Netflix for sticking to their guns.
Yep. And
Yeah.
not cowering to the cowards that didn't even see the film.
Yeah.
People were
You
like,
gotta watch the
I'm
movie.
canceling Netflix. Netflix is like, we're going to keep it moving. All these black people, they were like, we're not going to watch Netflix. And then talking about they're watching Sister. Well, homeboy, I thought you canceled your Netflix subscription.
You know what?
Watching
You know
Netflix, you know?
That's where we're at too. I mean,
I'm going to use a phrase from Sean.
we gotta call out our own people sometimes. Y'all out here vegging on sister and Moesha when there's some serious stuff going down and some documentaries and movies you should be watching. Like,
All right. So we're gonna move on to our next movie. Our next movie it's gonna be Sean telling us about Kajillionaire.
Kajillionaire. Yeah, everybody wants to be rich. Actually, Kajillionaire, I found it to be pretty fascinating. I like well-written movies. It's well acted. It's about a family of grifters. It's got some originality to it. It's got some freshness to it. I like the storyline, and thank you, Gina Rodriguez, who added all the energy the film needed once she was incorporated into the story.
Mm.
Yeah, it was interesting that they were able. I thought the writing in this one was good. I didn't love this film, but I actually thought the writing was good, and I thought the acting in this was good because they were able to highlight these people who I was totally uninterested in, but
100%.
the way they wrote about them made me want to say, well, what they doing?
Right. I'm gonna go ahead and follow y'all.
What's about to happen now?
Right.
Why are they doing what they're doing? And so it was really interesting. And then to throw in the mix, this is a very quirky film in my opinion. That's the word that I want to use. But to throw in the mix Gina Rodriguez as this fourth wheel was really an interesting experiment in terms of that family dynamic. So I did think the writing was done well, and I thought the acting in this was really good. The story, I didn't love the story, but I thought they did.
Now you've seen the story before, but I like what they did with it.
Well, I can't say I saw the story before because I thought it was a little unpredictable for me. Like each scene, whatever they ended with, I didn't know what was coming next. It's like these people were very like, what are you about to do? And who said what? And they, it was very unpredictable for me. So that's what kept me engaged to continue to watch. Do I think it was a great film? Nah, but I enjoyed my night watching it. So, check it out and have your own opinion. That's what I say.
So that's really interesting, Mercedes, because I don't know if I enjoyed it, but sometimes when you leave a movie, you're like, I wasted my time. I didn't feel like I had wasted my time watching this film. So this wasn't one of those like, oh man. I was like, hey, they actually did some interesting stuff here. It was interesting enough for me to try to see where they're going to go with this. And at the end, I think the writers really doubled down on showing the story of this odd family. I mean, I think they doubled down. They were like, hey, here's my money. I'm going to put the money down.
No, it's a complete. But I love director Miranda July. I mean, this is her typical style. And kudos, another female filmmaker who's like really good at what she does. And I mean, she stuck to her guns all the way through. I mean, that's just a great job of directing and carrying that thread.
It was just quirky enough where it's literally kept you engaged. Like, wait a minute, they trying to get her in the hot tub? Wait a minute. Okay, wait. Okay, like, I did not see that coming.
No, I didn't see that one coming either.
I think as far as like we talked a lot about this season about films lacking point of views, films lacking direction. You're like, you don't care about you just want the whole movie to implode. why this wasn't exactly my favorite, but like you all said, is
No.
there was first of all, there are words that a script was put together with some thought, which is really nice, right? It wasn't just like,
Oh, you
we
taking
got
a shot.
we got a good idea, and who cares if the script makes any sense? We're still gonna make it, right? And in this particular case, they established something which has not been established in a lot of these movies this year. And also, like I said, I like quirky. So again, wouldn't be on my top 10, but this is entertaining, and you were engaged and you wanted to know what's going to happen with these folks and who was doing what and where. So in that, it wins because again, we for once watch a movie like this, I wasn't like, I'm ready for everybody to die. I want it to end. You know what I mean? So I think if you're renting this, you're gonna get your money's worth. Like Reggie said, it may not be your favorite, but you're not like, oh, I wasted my hour and whatever, or I wasted my money.
Yeah, but with the name Kajillionaire, you will not be enriched by this film.
Yeah, this movie is like listening to a Travis Scott song. I'm never going out of my way to play Travis Scott. But when I hear Travis Scott, I'm like, Travis Scott's dope.
He got a couple of things in there, you know.
Yeah, but
it is a compliment because you're saying,
yes, yeah.
I'm not like, ooh, well, what's going on? Is my heat on? Did I turn off my, my stove? That is a compliment. And again, in a season where you're just like, why would you make this? Why would you say that? You know what I mean?
No, we've had whole weeks.
Thought in it. You
right.
know what I mean?
We've had whole weeks where we were like, why did they make every single movie we talked about? So
exactly.
It makes you think about the quirky people you see walking down the highway, and you're like, oh, it's kind of story.
It really does. When I visit my daughter in San Francisco, you can see so many people trying to struggle, and I just keep moving. But it really did. It really made you say, oh, that might have been that family. That might have been that might have been them people. It did give you that kind of like, man, maybe you might want to look twice as you're kind of moving through. And I'm a people watcher, but this one really did kind of say these might be some people that you've missed along the way.
Exactly.
Well, that's that for that.
Yeah, it's a watch it for me.
All right. I'd say watch it.
Other stuff we talked about, especially last week, the other film. If you take your money and move right over to the other slot.
All right, so you're being really unfair here because we're gonna take like 2 minutes because Mercedes doesn't even know what other film you're talking about. Go ahead, Kati. Go ahead.
Antebellum. So if you were looking at that, just take your little coin and go right over to the other slot.
Oh, I didn't think it was that bad, but y'all already had that conversation. So
I didn't think it was that bad.
We'll take your point of view. Give your little point of view, please.
It's getting a lot of flack, and I really don't think it was that bad of a film for the flack that it's getting. I said to Katia before, I thought that it really highlighted, America doesn't understand slavery from that perspective of like, maybe it'll give them a different perspective because they see someone with a regular job, like the way they view civilization. They stripped us from Africa because they said we weren't civilized. We ain't had no jobs. We didn't have the healers or whatever they deemed civilized. So maybe white America will see this Black woman with her family, with a job in civilization, operating and being stripped from that. Maybe that
didn't they do that? But didn't they do that with 12 Years a Slave?
No. That was a whole different type of narrative.
Did we have Roots? Roots explained it all.
Roots did not. No, actually, that's a great discussion we should have at some point on this show. Roots did not discuss it all. In fact, actually, Roots is not that good. Roots did a horrible job of introducing the American public to the institution of slavery. No, because Roots left out a lot of critical bits and pieces. And the thing I give Antebellum credit for, and the thing that Roots did horribly, is Roots downplayed the atrocities that slavery had, particularly on Black women. No. Roots was a soap opera. Kizzy falling.
All right. Well, we're definitely gonna have to.
But the one thing I do want to say about Antebellum is I like what they were trying to say, because I do firmly believe that if there was a plantation amusement park or people were allowed to own slaves right now today, they would.
Oh yeah, that part. I've Absolutely.
They would.
They would come in and would watch the car wreck.
If there was a plantation amusement park, people would go. If people could own slaves today, people would.
Listen, there is a thing, I forgot what state, where a woman really like tells people that visit it, saying that the slaves and the masters lived harmoniously together and they liked each other.
Yes.
That's what
that narrative. A lot of people believe that. A lot of people
America
believe that
does
narrative.
not want us here, and they still trying to figure out a way to get our
Yeah,
black
that-
ass.
So
that's-
Mercedes, because we do have to move on to the next movie. So is Antebellum Antebellum a watch it for you?
I think it's a watch it.
All right.
Watch.
Well, there you have it. All right, we're moving on to our last movie for today, and this one is Enola Holmes, and I'm gonna have Sean.
No, I thought it was Mercedes.
Oh no, that's Mercedes. That's
You know what?
Mercedes. Mercedes,
It's
bring
not
because Sean already said something negative before we could even get
It's
into it.
okay. It was just,
Come on, Mercedes.
Since I'm the newbie, this is the movie I want to throw me. Okay.
Wow.
It's an English mystery film, and it's based on the series, the same series by Nancy Singer, the Sherlock Holmes series, and it's about a teenage girl, the sister of Sherlock Holmes. That's about as interesting as it's going to get, people. I thought that the film, it was a couple of times I had to hit pause, go get me some water, get a snack, come back, and it really dragged for me. Like,
Nah.
it dragged for me.
I'm not feeling that, y'all.
Okay, let me tell you this. It was
what did you watch?
Okay, go ahead. It
was 2 hours. It was
I like this character much better than I like the character in Cuties. I'm sorry. I think that Millie Bobby Brown, she was interesting. I like the fact that we had the mother and the daughter being these independent women, and I wanted to know their story. I actually did want to know.
But they didn't tell it.
I did want to know what was happening with.
But they
with
didn't
Enola.
tell it.
The way in which she was this sleuth and she did some scooping of her brother. I don't know. I liked her. The thing I didn't like about this movie was the fact that they brought in this love interest, which I think took away for me that independent stuff, because the way in which they brought it in.
But Reggie, who was Enola Holmes? Who's Enola Holmes? She's whose sister?
Sherlock Holmes.
Okay,
Sherlock.
what's Sherlock Holmes known for?
Go ahead.
A detective, critical
He's
thinking.
known for, Sherlock Holmes is known for solving mysteries. How do you have a 2-hour-long movie where there's a mystery, but there's no mystery that gets solved? That was the biggest problem with this film. There's no mystery. Nothing ever got solved.
It just felt like a long, drawn out scapegoat Goonie adventure, like a fake Goonie adventure. And
A fake Goonies adventure. All right. Okay. All right. And
There
so
was no mystery.
I didn't dislike it as much as these two, but I do agree with Sean. I mean, here's the one thing I did like is because the angle of the Holmes family, right? Because Sherlock Holmes is always portrayed as dull and very singular. It's all about work, work, work. So I was like, oh, this is great. The other thing is, I was excited because, you have a young heroine, which I think is great for young girls to watch a movie and all of that. But again, where it failed is to take advantage of that storyline to highlight the fact that here you have this young girl who's the younger sister of one of the greatest detective minds of all time, and you didn't give her a chance to show that this was a familial thing. There was a family trait. You didn't give her anywhere to go to show that she was capable of this too. So while you had all of these starting points and this good foundation, you didn't build upon it. And also, it didn't need to be 2 hours long. The saving grace for this film is it's on Netflix, so you don't feel as though you paid for it because.
Wow.
But if you
took me-
paid for
it
it
took-
like separately, you would have been upset.
It took me 3 days to watch this.
oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
All day.
All
I
right. So
couldn't. It took 3 days.
Oh, let me watch something else for a minute. I need to get my mind off of it and I'll come back.
Yeah, it's too
so
long.
Sean,
It's way
so
too
Sean,
long.
you have said to me before, you like that was hot garbage. So is this hot garbage for you?
No. It's no. This is what's so sad about it. It's well produced. Like it looks great. I mean, the cinematography is terrific. The costumes, the art direction.
Actors.
I mean, the casting is dope. They didn't have anything to do.
Yep.
It was all right there.
the fact that Hollywood will put so much money behind something like this, all the money that they put into this film with the costume,
They put in a gang of
a
money.
lot of money, and to give this, and they won't give our black films the budget of,
because they were just they were like, we're gonna cast Millie Bobby Brown. We all know why. And they basically just followed her around with the camera and she did nothing. And they were like, people are gonna watch this anyway.
but she'll fling her accent around and they'll love it.
She didn't
Well,
do
that's
anything.
the issue. You spend all this money. What did we just say? But you failed to produce a plot or a script that took us. You know, you can't watch a movie for 2 hours for great scenery and costumes like that. That is a long ass time to ask somebody to commit.
Yeah, but I think you're contradicting yourself on this one, Katia, because you said that they had a great foundation. They did. You said that she didn't do anything in this film.
She's not contradicting herself on this.
She was very smart in this film.
How? They didn't prove it. How? You just assumed.
Where is her plot again?
What did she do?
Well, I don't want to give it all away, but in terms of solving the problems,
you can give it away. Nobody's watching this.
I can't stand you.
One day.
I'm just gonna tell you on this one. We got our little countdown to go through a couple of things. I'm gonna tell you, for me, this is a watch it. I'm watching this one. I like it. But it's not a watch it for any one of you three.
I mean, I don't recommend. You can watch what you want. I don't recommend it. It didn't do anything.
If you're on a 5-hour flight,
don't waste
you can't sleep.
You said if you're on a 5-hour flight
and you can't
you would
sleep
watch
and
it,
you don't want to talk to the person sitting
from
next
the
to
East Coast to the West Coast. After you finish watching that, you only got 3 more hours to go on the flight.
All right, Mercedes.
It's a great airplane movie.
Mercedes.
I'm gonna say, keep your time to yourself. And
wow. Maybe I do need somebody else to be introducing the show because I'm feeling pretty bad.
You can't even name a memorable scene from the movie.
The gowns.
Oh my goodness. Okay, fine. I am definitely by myself. But we're gonna move to our final section. And
did Netflix send you a magnifying glass or something with the title in the handle?
You got the gift box.
You know what? He
must have got an Enola Holmes gift box.
They sent me on the shoot, dude. I was able to go out and watch them shoot this one. And
that's why.
This.
Okay.
I was feeling that, but all right, fine. Forget y'all.
He did a set visit. I get it.
He met Enola. Right.
Forget y'all.
All right. You know, set visits are 10 times as boring as the movie, so that set visit had to be terrible.
Reggie said, I got a free London trip out of it. Let me be. I got a free Europe trip out of it.
Wow. I think we're not gonna meet next week. At least I can't do it. I can't.
You know you had to put a stick under your chin while you was on the set.
I can't take this. All right, moving on. Moving on. We got 3 things we're going to talk about in our countdown. And our first countdown for today is to talk about the Emmys. We've been talking about the Emmys for 3 weeks, but now the results are in. I have a lot of things that I want to mention that happened in the Emmys, but I'm actually going to start with Katia because this is your joint right here. You wanted some people to win. You were looking out for what was going to happen. So take it away, Katia.
Regina King. Her Oscar has 2 Emmys to bookend it, and I love it. And
love
I
it.
And I saw it coming. Also, Zendaya.
Hold on, time out. Give me my props. What did I say? I said Jennifer Aniston ain't winning that Emmy.
Listen,
he did say that. So, and you don't like to give him no props. Let me hear you say it.
No,
Sean, you were right.
You were right. But
No,
you
I'm just-
also have to understand, I was coming from the point of view, not that I wanted her to win, because I do not like that show. That show is
No, I know. I'm just saying.
and the pro stars are the best thing about it, but they killed them all off. There's
No,
another show. But the fact is, I love that young girl won. It's a great show. It's a show that's going to give you anxiety.
It's in the same vein as Cuties.
Yes, but it's a good show, and it's
I
an
know.
important show, and I love her as Rue, who is problematic because we never talk about, we always make high school seem like it's a great joy and a ride for everybody.
That's
And
true.
we're seeing a good insight. It's also giving you insight how addiction can really wear you down. There's a scene, and I hope that's the one that she sent in, where she's outside and she's begging her drug dealer for drugs.
Woo.
And her drug dealer was like, no, girl.
It's a great scene.
No. It's a great scene, you know what I mean? And it also deals with, exploring your sexuality, which are all things that we don't allow young people to do without making them feel dirty. So I'm super, super stoked.
So you had Regina King. You stoked about Zendaya. Hey,
Have to be.
Mercedes.
I don't want to butcher my boy's name. Yahweh. Yeah.
Yahya Abdul Mateen II.
Yeah. I might be a little biased because
No, you're not. He's a great actor.
he's a great actor. He was great in Watchmen, so kudos to
Yes,
him.
he was.
I did not see. I haven't seen Schitt's Creek, the show, but
I haven't either.
It's a great show, and I need people to stop crapping on it.
Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. But here's my issue though. I haven't seen it either. But they get lead actress, lead actor, supporting actor, and get supporting actor when you got Brower, Mahershala Ali, Thompson, Sterling Brown, and Harper all on the list. I'm like, this was the time I was like, there's a black person gonna win this one.
No. Votes got split. The votes probably got split on that category.
But let's discuss it though. Here's the thing: is Schitt's Creek was on, I believe, 6 seasons. The first season, nobody watched the show. It's a CBC Pop TV collaboration. How many people watched Pop TV in the United States? It wasn't until the show got moved to Netflix that the rest of the world started catching on. This show's been on. We've been talking about this show. Those of us who watch, this is a good show. It's funny. It's a premise. Also, let's set this. Eugene Levy has been in this business forever. SCTV, Catherine O'Hara. These people are not people that just.
They're not new. They're not new.
And also here's the thing: is they basically, and I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. They never nominated. They ignored the show for 5 years. This was the show's last year, and this is kind of like the catch up for all the years that it didn't get nominated, didn't get acknowledged because it wasn't going to have another shot. So what do award show do? They give them like, oh, we late to the party, so let's take care of everything. One shot.
I would like to say this though: whatever the Television Academy is doing with its membership needs to really thoroughly be studied by the Movie Academy and their membership, because one thing that's obvious from the selection of people that won this year, the members of the Television Academy actually watch a fair amount of the TV shows.
That is true.
Most of the members of the Academy do not watch the movies.
No, that's true. That's your point.
You got to give them props, because I mean, Free Ray Sean, other than the people who own Quibi, not many people watch that, and that series won 2 Emmys. Yeah, so that means they're actually watching. I mean, Zendaya.
No, that's true. That's true.
It means they actually watched. They didn't just say, "Oh, we're going to watch the morning show only." They actually watched a lot of. You could tell by the depth of the wins that they actually watched a lot of stuff. As with the Academy, you could tell they don't watch all the movies.
Oh, I know. Kudos.
That's Katya's thing. She like, look, they got to watch all the movies.
No, they need to watch all the movies.
I totally agree.
Membership thing. You can't vote if you don't watch the movie.
I totally agree.
That's crazy to me.
I want to mention a couple of Emmys that caught my eye. Is that obviously from a politics perspective? I guess the Crown Act made it because Blackish won for hairstyling. So wow, Blackish won for hairstyling. So
the hairstyles on Blackish are dope. Which that was the saddest thing about Black Panther not winning hair and makeup.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention that it won hair. And RuPaul RuPaul killed it. I think the
RuPaul's
show,
the best reality TV show in the host in the history of reality TV
we
shows.
cannot talk about Emmys without talking about RuPaul.
He's a
RuPaul
great host.
killed it
Great
and
host.
got it. And then the last one, not the last one for me, but the other one I want to mention was Stan Lathan, one for Dave Chappelle.
Yes.
Well, as well he should. He's a legendary TV director. He's never gotten the props he deserves. Alongside Eddie Murphy, where it took these people an insane amount of years to finally recognize this guy that, like, in my opinion, you would not be watching SNL today if it weren't for Eddie Murphy. You wouldn't even be watching sketch series if it weren't for Eddie Murphy. You wouldn't know, you know, there would be no Mad TV. There would be no In Living Color. There wouldn't have been any of those shows without Eddie Murphy. It's just egregious that it took so long.
No, and the other one is Uzo for winning for Mrs. America, her playing Shirley.
She had better have won that. She was great. She was the best part of that series.
She was the best part of that series. And I agree with Sean. You can tell because a lot of these people, although of course they all wanted to win, they were super surprised, and it is a reflection of their membership. I do think that it shows that people are in tune. People are seeing things. People are aware of these different things. Because again, Mrs. America is something that was more watched when it was on Hulu than it was in real time. And there was chatter about it. And it's a good series. You should watch it if you missed it. So you can definitely tell that people were more engaged. Do you know what I mean? And like,
well, that's how Yaya. That's how you know that, because Yaya won. I mean, he doesn't win if you don't actually watch that series, because he's not going to win on name recognition alone. So they actually watched Watchmen, and they were like, "Oh man, this dude's good." Yeah. Which, by the way, he may get nominated for an Oscar too, because he's incredible in The Trial of the Chicago 7. He's on a roll right now.
Oh, I gotta see.
He's really good. He's really good.
So the other one is that I do want to keep up with the Joneses, because Ron Cephas Jones won and his daughter won.
And his daughter won.
Yeah,
for a Quibi show. It was very awesome.
Father and daughter, first time in history.
Yes.
And it's good for us, and Ron Cephas is great on This Is Us. His storyline is complex. Again, give us layers, give us differentiation, not the usual. And Ron Cephas has also been out there, and it's a beautiful moment. And to see, you know, like, as soon as she wrapped her head around her wedding, she was like, what? And my dad won too. So kudos to the Jones family.
Great moment. Great moment. Great moment. They watch the shows.
That's it. But so Mercedes, you just cared about Yaya. That's it, because that's your eyes. You had starry eyes. That's all you could do.
She was like, "Hey, boo."
You know what? To be honest, I have not seen a lot of those Emmy-nominated shows, but the Emmy does give me that bird's eye view of what I need to be checking out, because I trust the respect.
For a lot of people. Yeah, for a lot of people. It's hard to keep it.
And once again, morning show got what it deserves, because Apple put a lot of money in advertisement, but you cannot will that. They had an opportunity to do something here with the Me Too and everything, and listen, I like Reese Witherspoon, but this might be her most boringest, underwhelmingest role ever. I'm like, if you want to see her on TV, go watch Big Little Lies. Don't watch that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we only have one other thing left before we get out of here. And obviously, we always talk about the box office and theaters. And Sean, you brought up this issue again.
Sean, you can talk about that.
You brought up this issue again. Are the theaters going to close up? What was your thought on that, man?
I think they are. I just wish there was better cooperation between the studios and the exhibitors, because I actually think the studios, in a lot of ways, are putting these exhibitors in harm's way. I just thought it was egregious for them to sort of like mislead these exhibitors by, even dangling the idea that a singular movie could save the theatrical experience, particularly during the pandemic. I also like the fact that Jordan Peele finally put out an official statement on why they moved Candyman, and he's one of my favorites for a reason. He's like, I don't want Black people coming together in a communal environment to watch this movie and get sick. I mean, so you gotta, and that's what we've talked about this on your show for months now, that we don't want to see Black people put themselves in harm's way during a health crisis. And Jordan Peele was like, man, it's not about the money. It's about the safety of my people. So kudos to him. But the movie theaters are in trouble. The second wave's already started. People aren't going. I don't know. It's a sad situation all around because, like I say, if you watch the end of a movie and you see all those names during the credits, those are real people. Most of those people aren't working, and I don't know when they're going to work.
The thing that you bring up is the exhibitors. I do think that the studios are not really
They're not
working
helping.
hand in hand with these exhibitors. Is that
They're not.
they feel forced to do something because the studios really can. They can either hold on to the film or they can do the stuff that they're doing, like with Disney, where
It's
they
called
release-
greed. It's called greed.
So the studios definitely have the power here, and I think they're putting these exhibitors in such peril. Yeah, thoughts on that?
I think, well, first of all, they're just not used to standing still. Nobody's used to just standing still. And with them, of course, the money is, not that it's drying up at all, but they don't like to not have their money. So as opposed to putting together a sound plan, let's just throw it out there. And when you throw stuff out there, it never works. So don't put the pressure on one film either that way, I feel like they put the pressure on the one film because if it doesn't do well, then it's really not us,
Well,
So
can we address how are all these people who wear $5,000 suits and make $1 million a year not coming up with a plan? Like the United States government didn't have a plan. These studios don't have a plan. These major corporations, how all these companies not have a plan? Like we've got to start calling
Because
people
you're
out
not
on
making
You're
money.
answering your own question because the idea is it's not affecting them as in a human way, it's affecting their bottom line. You're expecting them to make an emotional decision because we are out here in these communities, we're out here in these streets. They live in gated communities. Everything is insular for them. So for them to understand that people are dying from this, you have to leave the hill and go down. Now, I don't necessarily feel as though that's basically what has to happen. It's also very irresponsible. And I'm not going to name the names, but there are some film critics out there, our fellow colleagues, who literally said, oh, I've been to the movie theater several times and I'm not dead. This is nothing to joke about. I know 4 people that have died affected by this. There's no joke in there. And for you to say, well, I've gone to the movies and I'm fine. For now, you don't know. This disease is so evolving and there's so many things going on there. It's constantly, as Dr. Fauci said, it's a constant study and we're learning and we're adjusting. So you might be okay today. You may be asymptomatic, and I realize that you're asymptomatic because these tests have narrowed that down. And while you're going to the movies and enjoying yourself, you may have it and actually killing other people.
Nah,
So
absolutely.
You can't be out here on social media belittling people because they don't want to go to the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Social media is out of control.
I think, Sean, though, the answer to your question is, whenever I would say to you, this movie is not to make money, you say, no. Every movie is to make money.
It is.
Yeah, hold on. Hear my argument here, though, is that I think everything is to make money. But if I lose a little money here or there, is different from that I lose my house, that I'm homeless, is that it's not affecting those people in the same way. I can say about myself, I live in the hood, but in terms of my kids having a computer, they got a computer. So they're able to do the stuff that they need to do. Their day-to-day, in terms of running out in the world, is affected, but their livelihood is not affected. And I would suspect that somebody who has more money, much more money than me, that these people are not affected in that way. And then when we talk about the stock market, when we look at where the stock market is and they look at their dollars from an investment perspective, their dollars are not depreciating or not are being devalued as much. So I think the answer is it just doesn't affect me the same way. Yeah, I might lose a couple of dollars here or there, but I'm still at my beach house. I'm still flying from place to place.
You're still going on vacation.
I'm still doing my stuff. And my niece, stayed with someone who's in Hollywood, in movies, and actually, and she was at their house. They got bored and went to their beach house, and that's where they went and hung out. And it was lavish, the pictures and the stuff that she was showing me. I'm like, man, I need to know the people you know. I said I know Sean, but he hadn't invited me over yet. But I'm saying, I think the answer to your question is that it's not affecting them in the same way.
Right.
But how do you?
Secretary has to kill over. And then maybe they'll get it because they don't have anybody to make coffee and to send their emails. But we have shown, as we talked about at the beginning of this program, and you said it best, America cares more about drywalls than people, and that including with this pandemic. Over 6 million people have tested positive, over 200,000 people have died, and people are still going, well, I don't got it. I don't know anybody in my community that has it. I think it's a hoax. So that's basically the same idea at the top.
Yeah,
that's true. But so what we're basically saying is that, movie theaters are just there's nothing that can be done because the studios aren't going to help them. Like I would just say my plan would be that like a movie like Tenet, just release it on VOD. Studios recoup 80% of VOD. Just give the exhibitors 10% or 20%. Because it's 80% is far more than you would have got releasing it theatrically. Because sometimes it's a 40-60.
That's right.
Split.
That's right.
So I mean, because you can't.
Overzealous executive who said, "Let's do it," and
overzealous filmmaker too, because Christopher Nolan pushed it as well. I mean, which who he's the exact opposite of what Jordan Peele did. So I mean, it comes down to the executives and how much leverage the filmmaker has. Apparently Christopher Nolan had a lot of leverage. So I mean,
he had a lot. Yeah.
Movie theaters are in trouble, but I mean, you can't have people go and get sick because of it.
And the employees, we forget they're people. And again, I don't wish anybody to get ill, but to me, it's like, again, we are the type of country where until something very serious happened, let some 16-year-old kid die, then it's like, oh, we got a problem now. But it shouldn't have to be that way. You know what I mean?
My main concern is the most underreported story of the pandemic is that, we know more than 200,000 people have died, but more than 6 million people have the virus, and a large percentage of those 6 million people have had to go to the hospital. And what's going to happen in the next 90, 120, days, you're going to have all these people with insurmountable hospital bills that they're not going to be able to pay.
It's going to be crazy.
And that adversely affects Blacks and Hispanics. And that affects your credit. That affects your credit rating, which affects where you can live, what type of car you can buy. Like it's the mounting hospital bills from getting sick is the problem. I mean, yeah, a lot of people are dying, but even more people are going to the hospital, and not everybody's insured, and a lot of people have lost their jobs.
I can speak to that personally, Sean. I can speak to that personally because 2 of my siblings have it, have had it, and one of them is still trying to recover from it, and the hospital bills that are coming in are just it's unmanageable. It's absolutely unmanageable. So with that, look, we started
not to end on a down note, but I mean, it's been a tough week.
I was just about to say we started on a tough note and we're ending on a tough note. We hope that you guys stay safe out there. This is the Real Critic Roundtable, where Black critics come to discuss, debate, and have fun.
And my final thought for all my Black brothers and sisters, because I just did this the other day, I went and got dual citizenship paperwork started.
Ooh.
I have it.
Anybody licensed to carry around here?
This November 3rd is going to be the ugliest day in American history.
Listen, I agree with Sean. I actually could do triple if I wanted to because I was born in Germany. I have a German birth certificate. I have a Brazilian passport, and it's just, it is. Even including, I don't trust America to do right by us. So
this is gonna be ugly.
And even let's say if he does lose November 3rd,
ugly.
He's got to get kicked out. Secret Service got to get him by the shackles and out. Not that I would mind that, but we got to have an exit strategy because 4 more years of this.
Nope.
Well, on that, we got to exit. Thanks a lot, you guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.